Hey BookTube, it's been a little bit. Um, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what I read, and this little video here will be about the fourth book in Fritz Leiber's Fafhrd and Grey Mouser series called Swords Against Wizardry. Now, this book is a little different than the other ones in that, at least the ones that I've read so far, in that Harry Otto Fisher, who is the person who co-created Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser with Fritz Leiber, has a actual story in this. Now, for those of you who don't know, and this is kind of like a big talking point here, because, and let me know down below if you're into any of this, but like, I've also been looking at Appendix N, which is in the Gary Gygax Dungeons and Dragons manual. And Appendix N was, or is, like the books that Gary Gygax was inspired by to create Dungeons and Dragons. Now, the reason why this is kind of a big get, I guess, for Fritz Leiber and stuff is that originally the reason why Fritz Leiber and Harry Fisher were putting the Fafhrd and Grey Mouser together, and I guess they were college roommates. I might be wrong about that. Let me know down below if I am. They were trying to create a game. They were trying to basically, I think they were creating a board game. And so they created these two characters, Fafhrd being based on Fritz Leiber and the Grey Mouser being based on Harry Fisher. They wrote two stories that were going to kind of like be the bulk of their game. And the story that Harry Fisher wrote was called The Lords of Cornwall. And that story is in this book. The one that Fritz Leiber wrote, I can't remember the name of it, but they renamed it when it came out in the series, so I don't know if I've even read it yet. But this is important because I was not aware of that until I finished reading the book. Now, this book has 4 stories in it, I think. I think it's called In the Witch's Tent, Stardock, The Greatest Thieves in Lankmar, and The Lords of Cornwall. Now, the first story is great, and for those of you who don't know, and I think I've talked about this before, but like when Elspeth Camp and Lynn Carter tried to put together Robert E. Howard's Conan stories in some sort of chronology, they had to like fill in the blanks, and they kind of put stuff in where they kind of thought it would go and all this other stuff. The way that Fritz Leiber put his stories together, it feels like a lot more thought went into it, and I'm not 100%, but I think even parts were rewritten in order to make them more seamless. Again, I could be wrong about that. Let me know down below if I am. But In the Witch's Tent was awesome because Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser are such great characters with each other. By themselves, I don't think they're that great, but together, they're really good. And Fafhrd wants to go to this witch because it's like you're supposed to go to a witch before you go on a great adventure to kind of get your fortunes told. And the Grey Mouser's like, this is the stupidest thing ever. This is total crap, total BS. So it's super good. And then craziness ensues that leads you into Stardock. And Stardock, when I saw the title, I'm like, this story is going to suck balls. This story was actually great. Stardock is the highest mountain in the north, and it's where the gods put jewels together to throw up into the sky to make the stars and all this other stuff. It's just fantastic, front to back. That story's great. Um, and then, just like with Swords in the Mist, as the book goes, the stories seem to get a little weaker, for me at least. So, we get to the Greatest Thieves of Linkmar, and basically they're boasting about how badass they are, and they get their behinds handed to them, basically, in perfect Fafhrd and Grey Mouser fashion, so it's fine. And then we get to the Lords of Cornwall, which is so weird. It's really long. It again was written by Harry Fisher, which I didn't know. And I'm not 100%, but I think this is the only story that was in the whole series that was actually not written by Fritz Leiber, or maybe Fritz Leiber finished it or something like that. But the duo are apart and they don't know it. But they're working for two people who are trying to become the lord of this town, Cornwall. And they're brothers, and one brother hired Fafhrd and the other brother hired the Grey Mouser. They don't know that they know each other, and Fafhrd and Grey Mouser don't know that the other one's there. And it just drags on and on and on and on and on. Now, for those of you who like Game of Thrones and stuff, you might actually like this because the world building is ridiculous. And the fact that this was put together as a part of the board game when they were originally putting the board game together makes sense because of all the world building. So, if you like that, then this is something that you're going to like a whole lot. But to me, it was a little too much, especially when you had all the action-packed stuff. And again, the strength of Fafhrd and Grey Mouser is Fafhrd and Grey Mouser. When the stories start becoming about the other characters, they really fall flat to me so far. I think there's 3 more books in the series, so I'm probably gonna be hitting those up soon too. And they're great. Fafhrd and Grey Mouser are great characters together. Highly recommend it. But again, start from the beginning. Even though the first book, it takes a while for them to get together, but it's a good one. So let me know down below what you think, if you've read these, if you like them. Let me know if there's anything that you think I would like, and especially if you're reading through Appendix N or you have read through Appendix N, if there's anything in there that you think I should hit next, just to get through that. And Mina says hello, so take care.